Good morning, everyone. This is your mentor Shivani Sharma from mentorbuddy.com. I hope I'm audible to all. Am I audible? Good morning, Ritesh. Good morning, Tejal. Good morning, Shraddha. Good morning, Upasna. Thanks for confirming, everybody. Right. So once again, I would like to welcome you all in my session on resume building. Good morning, Jayant, Jivita, Sushma. A very, very good morning to each one of you. Right, so I hope you all had a good celebration on Christmas, right? Everybody had fun, enjoyed Christmas party with friends, family. Right, so as New Year is approaching and as we have mutually decided in our last session that we are going to start every class with a positive thing, right? It could be a positive motivational video or quote or story, right? So today I would like each one of you to share with me one New Year resolution that you are planning to make for yourself. I hope everybody is aware of what is New Year resolution. So let's give it 2 minutes, right? And think about a good, even if you have not thought about it earlier, right now think about a New Year resolution and share your New Year resolution with me here, right? I'll also share mine. Right. So my New Year resolution is to work on my vocabulary more and to read more as I have a lot of responsibilities, including home and professional life, and I'm studying also. Right. So that gives me a little less time in terms of reading fictional books and all. So this year I have a resolution that every day for at least half an hour I'm going to read something new that I like to. Actually, I like to read motivational books a lot. Right? So this year I'm going to do it positively. That is my New Year resolution. Now, I want you all to share your New Year resolution. Come on, students. So I've shared mine. So to become a voracious reader, right? Okay. Ritesh is saying be always number one, read more books. Okay. That's right, Ritesh. I think we share a similar kind of a New Year resolution, isn't it? What about others? Come on, be quick. You don't need to write an entire paragraph. Just mention your New Year resolution. Okay. So improve my, now I'll not tell the names, but I'll just read out the resolutions, right? Improve my writing skills as I'm a writer. I would love penning down more things and enjoy my word of imagination. Wonderful, wonderful. All my good wishes. Okay, somebody is saying be the master of machine learning. Very nice. That's really great. All my good wishes to you as well. To maintain the anonymity, I'm not reading out the names, right? But I'm sharing the New Year resolutions. Save some money, improve GPA, and learn new skills. Very good. This is also, New Year resolutions give us a very, very, guided way or a very streamlined vision that helps us keep going, right? Otherwise, sometimes, we tend to get lost in our own imaginations, thoughts, and demands of our, academic and personal lives. And sometimes we feel perturbed as if what are we really doing, isn't it? Right. What about others? Nobody else is interested in sharing? No one else is interested in sharing? I have got just 4 people who have shared their New Year resolutions. What about others? We have good number of students. Come on, students. Okay, if you don't have any New Year resolution, just tell me an important principle of your life. What do you believe in? Come on. I'll take this as attendance. What you are sharing over here will be taken as attendance. And remember, then I'm also not going to respond to your queries. Okay, very good. Try to learn something new. Disconnect from my phone so that I can focus on myself. Wonderful, wonderful. And I do, appreciate this. As long as your focus is on your phone, on social media, and as long as you're keeping your phone side by you, believe me, you'll never be able to concentrate on your studies, because every time the phone tings and then you know, you're bound to look at what is happening. And every time you are going to pick your phone, it will kill at least 5 to 10 minutes of yours, right? So, good point. In a student life, you should not give time on phone. Very good. Not give up, and positively look forward to anything coming forward in life. Learn to love me. Very good. Very good. Yes, certainly. The very first thing is that you should learn to love yourself. You should learn to give yourself a priority. Make books your best friends, right? Focus and devote your entire time on self improvement. Believe me that whatever you have, you will be able to share only that with others. If you have happiness inside you, you'll be able to spread happiness. If you have sadness, if you have negativism, then you will be sharing that only with others, right? So love yourself, positive vibes, be kind. Very good, very good. I really appreciate all of you, and thank you so much for sharing such good thoughts at the start of the day. Let us quickly move on to resume and cover letter writing as promised in the last class. This is the second session on resume writing, and we are also going to talk about the cover letter today. Okay, so let's quickly start this. Right. So we will be dealing with some aspects of resume writing, as we have already talked about the different points and headings in resume writing in the last class. So taking the threads forward, I hope that you all remember what are we supposed to write. Last class, I told you that the resume that you're going to write should be in the reverse chronological order. Can anybody tell me what is reverse chronological order? Can anyone tell me what is reverse chronological order? Please send your responses through the question box. What is reverse chronological order? Come on. Very good. Tejas is the first one to respond. Very nice, Tejas. That's the most, very, very apt answer. From most recent to old. Very good, Jivita. First, we must mention our recent degree. Very good, Tejal. What we are doing currently will be mentioned first. The latest course must be mentioned first. Yes, Aditya, very good. Right. So, recent to old. Yes, Sushma. So, when we are writing our resume, we should write it in reverse chronological order. That means starting with your latest education degree, or starting with your latest job work experience, what you are doing currently, to going back to your past, right? Very good. Now let us just move on with other aspects of resume writing. Right, so we will be talking about certain do's and don'ts, as we have already covered the format of resume in our last class, right? So these are the do's and don'ts. The very first point says that keep your resume format simple, right? Do not bring all your creativity in the format of the resume. Please make it very, very simple, right? You will not be selected, or the selection criteria is not dependent on how many colors of ink or the font size that you are going to make use of. The creativity in the font in the resume will not be determined. Use a uniform font type. This is very, very important. Font size also needs to be uniform, and the margin settings all around should also be uniform, right? You should not play with it. Maintain the conformity and the uniformity. Suggested fonts, right? So normally in all our official documents, We make use of either Times New Roman or Arial because these are the professional fonts available in MS Word. So we make use of these two font styles whenever we are writing any professional document, and resume is one of the most professional documents that we prepare. Suggested font size 10 to 12, right? Don't make it below 10, otherwise the person has to use lenses to read your resume, and do not make it more than 12. Ideal font size is between 10 to 12. Margins on left and right, suggested margins are 1 inch, top, bottom, left and right. Okay. Do not use abbreviations. You can make use of abbreviations which are used globally, but any jargon, any field specific abbreviation should not be used. There are different abbreviations. Let's say if you're doing computer science, right? So there are a lot of abbreviations that are specific to computer science field. But I would suggest you not to make use of, those abbreviations, right? For example, for an engineering student, CS refers to computer science. For a commerce student, CS is commercial studies. And for a humanities student, CS might refer to communication skills, right? So if you are going to mention in your resume, have done a CS project, that is not acceptable because CS is not a universally used abbreviation which has the same, understanding for everybody. For example, ETC or I.E, that is right. So do not make use of abbreviations when you are preparing a resume. Use bold, italics, and underlining sparingly. That means avoid making use of italics and underlining or bold until unless it is highly required. Print your resume on white or neutral color, 8.5 into 11-inch paper. That means ideally A4 size paper that we make use of. Ideally, again, it has to be a white color paper. If you are very creative, you want to share it on a colored paper, then it has to be only a neutral color and not a very dark one. But in Indian culture, we hardly make use of colored papers in uh, sharing our resumes, until unless it is for Bollywood or fashion words or something like that, right? Otherwise we don't make use of colored papers here. Now, one of a very, very interesting question which I face every time in my session on resume building is, ma'am, what is the difference between a resume and a CV? You will find n number of websites on Google and on internet talking about n number of things on the difference between resume and CV. Let's talk about it. A CV is basically used in academic and research oriented job searches, right? Whereas a resume is used in business, non-profit, government, and other types of job searches. Although this particular difference is not very much valid, if you're just going to focus on the other 2 points, I think you'll be able to differentiate between the two. A CV is of a flexible length. Right, right. Now tell me one thing. Who is going to write a CV? Right? Somebody who has got good enough years of work experience, isn't it? Whereas a resume should be of 1 page or maximum of 2 pages. Now, a person having 15 years of work experience will not be able to summarize each and everything in a 2 page resume, isn't it? So that person is going to write a CV. A CV is basically a record of your academic accomplishments and credentials as well, right? Whereas a resume is not all embracing, it should be targeted to a particular job in a particular field, right? So it is very, very, customized, which is prepared keeping in mind only a particular job in a particular field. So that is the basic difference between a resume and a CV. Clear? Any questions so far? Any questions? If you don't have any questions, send me number one. Number one, if you don't have any questions, and number two, if you have any question. There are only 8 to 9 students in the class who are responding continuously. Others are, sitting as silent spectators, right? That is something which is undesirable in a soft skills class. Beta, if you will not interact with me, how will I get to understand? Remember, communication is a two-way process. All right. So we have talked about difference between resume and CV. Now, a very, very major concern, since all the students who are sitting in the class are not having any experience, right? So the question arises, ma'am, how are we going to write our CVs when we don't have any experience? What are the things we should keep in mind while preparing our resume? So I came across an interesting video on YouTube and thought of sharing it with you, that how to write a CV with no experience, right? And I'm sure that this particular video is going to be a lot of helpful. It will be helpful for each one of you, in the sense that it will give you an idea about how to prepare a CV with no experience. Although in the coming up slides also, I will be sharing good enough formats of CV writing as well. Have a look.
Whether you're making a career change or taking your first step onto the career ladder, writing a CV with no experience can be hard. However, even if you don't have much or any relevant work experience, you'll have gained transferable skills throughout your life. Transferable skills are core skills and abilities which can be transferred from one context to another, such as communication, leadership, research. You'll have gained these from volunteering, extracurricular activities, or academic projects, for example. 75% of employers believe that transferable skills are equal to or more important than technical skills. So read the job description carefully and identify which skills you already have from other areas. Make sure to include achievements from a variety of different contexts if possible. If you're concerned about how your CV will look with no experience, don't feel confined to a traditional layout. You may find that a functional CV, also known as a skills-based CV, suits you better. This format places your skills at the top of your CV. Recruiters spend on average 7 seconds looking at a CV before deciding to leave it or continue reading, so a functional CV gives you a chance to immediately convey how your skills make you a good fit for the job, taking attention away from your lack of experience. Don't compensate for having no experience by bulking out your CV. Keep it concise by using one-line bullet points and make sure to include keywords from the job description throughout. You may also benefit from including the hobbies and interests section towards the end of your CV. 51.2% of employers said they select candidates based on their hobbies and interests, as this indicates a good cultural fit. Your hobbies and interests must be relevant, so show how enthusiasm for the industry and amateur experience carrying out responsibilities of the role are reflected in your recreational activities. If you haven't worked in the field before, employers will still expect you to be well informed about industry news. 3/4 of graduate employers said they viewed commercial awareness as either quite or very important. Write on your CV that you proactively keep up to date with all trends and developments in your field, and list the publications and podcasts you subscribe to. Make sure not to lie, as you'll likely get asked some industry news-specific questions at an interview. Your lack of experience doesn't have to hold you back. These tips should help you to nail your CV and get your foot in the door. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or comment.
So I hope that the anxiety that you all have about having not experienced and how are you going to present your CV in the best possible manner so that you stand good chances of getting selected is clear to everybody, right? Right. So we are going to mention about our transferable skills when we will be sharing our CV. Now let me just show you some formats of CV, and now I'm going to ask you questions based on the same. Now look at the left hand side, that CV of Tihar Kumar Sahu. Can you all see that? I want you all to tell me, just go through it. I'm giving you all 1 minute and just focus on this CV only. Tell me what is not right in this CV. Tell me what is not right in this CV. What are the things which you think are incorrect or which you should not do? Yes, students, I think that if you have attended my last class attentively, you will be able to answer this. Come on, quickly. I just want to see how observant my students are. Okay, different font size is an observation made by somebody, not in a particular order. Okay, the order is there, beta. Education is mentioned in the reverse chronological order. Format is not much readable, not able to read. Different font size. Okay. See, the problem in reading is just because I have, compressed it to the size of the slide. So that might be the case. What are the observable, things that you think should not be there? Using photos. I was waiting for this. And even if he has used his photo, do you think that it is a professional photo that he has made use of? Yes, very good. It's an informal photo and his photo is not appropriate. This kind of photo can be sent to Bollywood or fashion world, right? But he is a software engineer and he's sending his profile for a technical field where professionalism matters a lot. So this is not a formal photo but an informal one, right? Good observation. What about others? Just have a look at the email. Right, he has used underline necessarily under the curriculum vitae. Okay, the spelling of vitae is also wrong. What is the spelling of vitae? It's VITAE, curriculum vitae. CV is curriculum vitae, right? Okay, what about others? Right, so I think that you are able to identify that what is not right here. Look at the spelling of career objective. In career, he has made use of 3 E's. Right, now these are very minute details, but your selection and rejection depends on this. If you are so indifferent to the kind of errors that you're making in sending your resume, which is such an important document, do you think your organization is going to trust you with the important project reports? Never. Now look at the right hand side. This is Amit Sinha's resume. Right, now your observations, goods and bads, positives and negatives in this resume. Right, see, ideally it is said that you are not required to share your photograph or pic until unless it is asked for, right? Suppose the company has asked to share a passport size photograph as well. So now tell me, now share your observation. Yes, come on quickly. Do you think the format is right? Okay. Okay, Shraddha, good observation. It looks very formal and very neat and clean, right? The way the information is presented in this format by Amit Sinha, it seems to be very organized, right? Now, just have a look at the way he has presented his work experience, 2020 to present, right? So on the left hand side, he has categorically mentioned the time duration. And leaving some space, he has talked about the role, the job responsibilities and everything, which is giving it a very, very neat look. In education also, right, he has clearly communicated whatever he has done, right? For example, 2017 to 18 MA in economics, batch topper, gold medalist and rank 1 Northern University, and he has mentioned his CGPA also. Similarly, 2014 to 2016 BSc mathematics, batch topper, silver medalist, rank 2 Northern University, CGPA 9.9%. It has to be percentage, right? It's, if it is CGPA, it has to be 9.9 out of 10 or 99%, right? Certifications he has mentioned: Chartered Financial Analyst, that is CFA certification, and Financial Risk Manager certification, right? And on the right hand side, he has talked about, in this blue space, he has talked about his personal details, where he has mentioned his address, phone number, email. Another thing which he could have included here would have been LinkedIn profile. All right. All right, students, just a second. Just a second. So as I've suggested, in the last session, that nowadays organizations are looking for LinkedIn profile also, right? So you should try and share LinkedIn profile also in your CVs, right? So the way this person has presented, Amit Sinha has presented his CV, that was really amazing. It was very clear, concise, and to the point kind of a document, which you would definitely like to go through if you are a hiring manager. Clear? So do not clutter your resume with a lot of information. Now look at this. What do you think about this particular CV? This is a very, very contemporary kind of a format that can also be used with some modification. I won't suggest you to make use of this particular format as it is, because this I have seen this format since last couple of years. So I would suggest you all rather to make it more updated kind of thing, right? Okay. So yes, observations. Okay, last name is missing. Yes, Shraddha, there was no point in making use of a different color for surname, right? So you can not make use of it as well. Last name is missing in this CV, Prashant, right? Now Prashant has written as a career objective. He has not shared his email ID here. Career objective: to build career in a growing organization where I can get the opportunities to prove my abilities by accepting challenges. Now this seems to be just a copy and paste from a Google you know uh, hint, which is not specific, which is in no ways talking about what Prashant is good at, what specifically does he wants to achieve. Nothing of that sort is mentioned here, right? Now, look at academic qualification. Prashant has written it in the time format, whereas we have talked about reverse chronological order. So, pursuing BCom first year from Delhi University should have come at the first. Technical qualification, look at the spelling error, and you will find n number of CVs having such a ridiculous, spelling error. So, please proofread your CV before submitting. Look at work experience. Okay, fresher. Now if this person is a fresher, do you think he should have mentioned work experience column categorically here? Instead of this, he should have talked about his project, he should have talked about his transferable skills. Just now I've shown you a video, right, where it was mentioned transferable skills. Work experience should not have been written out here. See, what you are going to present in this particular thing is the best of your abilities, isn't it? Strength, positive attitude and good communication skills. Here he's writing personal profile, father's name, date of birth, sex, marital status, languages, nationality, hobbies. Now, this all is absurd now, right? You have already written about your, details here. This is not required. Declaration. I solemnly declare that all the above information is correct to the best of my knowledge and belief, date, place, and then here going to have signature. Right. So students, please try and understand that the things which are outdated should not be shared at all. Right. You have already mentioned the required details. And let me also tell you another matter of fact that if you're applying for an international job, right, you will find that there, people are not interested and they do not ask your date of birth, right? They do not ask your gender because they have, this as a policy. All right, let's have a look at this. Now this is another format. I have not used it in the PPT, otherwise it becomes difficult to read. I hope that everybody is able to read this. Right, now look at this. I found this particular format good, and since it's of an engineer, only a software engineer, I thought that let me share it with you. Right, the way he has written things in bullet points, right? He has, categorized different information through a gray color, ribbon kind of a thing, where he has mentioned about software engineering, that what he has done in that. On the top, he has mentioned his name, address, phone, LinkedIn URL, portfolio URL. If you have a video portfolio, you can also mention that URL and your email ID. Then he has talked about the currently, what he is doing. Then he has talked about his education. He has also talked about the courses that he has completed. You can see a long list of courses, right? And then he has talked about his work experience, right? Now, students, one thing that I would like to suggest each one of you who are in final year, try to get hold of whenever you have time, try to do some internships, whether it is paid or unpaid, that is not important. What is important is that you have hands-on experience with the new technologies, you have hands-on experience with the with the work culture of the different organizations, and this is what each organization is interested in. They want people having both practical and theoretical knowledge of things, right? So I found this particular format good enough, so I thought of sharing this with you all. So like this, you will come across a number of formats available on Google, right? Do not blindly follow any format. Use your wisdom. Now I have, shared what are the do's and don'ts for resume writing. So based upon your understanding of all these concepts, please, you know, use your wisdom and then decide that which particular format you are going to make use of. Am I clear? Right. So let's go back to our presentation. I hope this is clear to everybody now. Any questions so far? Students, any questions? Please share your questions. Yes, Tanmay, sure, you can share your resume. Right? What? Yes. If you don't have any questions, send me number one so that we can safely proceed. If you have any questions, type your question and share. If you don't have any questions, send me number one quickly. Tanmay, I'll be sharing the email ID. Beta, personal information in the sense of your contact number, your address, your email ID, your LinkedIn URL, that's it. Right, so you can share your resume on feedback.mentorbuddy@gmail.com. feedback.mentorbuddy@gmail.com is the email ID on which you can share your resume. Right, I've shared that. Clear? All right, so let's safely proceed. Another interesting video to wrap up resume building, right? Let me just show you this so that, and after this video, we are going to start with the cover letter, okay? Which is also a very, very important part. Let's have a quick sum up with resumes and don'ts, and then we will quickly have a discussion on cover letter because cover letter is also an important part. Let's have a look at this. Just a second, it's taking a bit long to, to work.
Here's a quick list of a few resume do's and don'ts that can help improve your resume. Balance the amount of white space on your resume. Make sure that you write your resume in a format that is easy to read and makes good use of the page. Use a tab key to keep information in line and try and keep 1-inch margins. White space is the amount of blank space on your resume. If you have too much, you might not be saying enough about your qualifications.
Students, this is just a quick revision of whatever we have discussed so far, right? So have a look at this.
If you have too little, your resume might be too dense for employers to get the most relevant information. Here's an example of two identical employment history sections. So on the top, the date is on the left, and on the bottom, it's on the right. On the top, the additional information had to be tabbed over to the right, leaving a block of white space. Whereas on the bottom, this white space is on the right. This space can be used for a longer description of employment history. Well, in this example, the additional white space is a small amount. Adding it for every section of your resume can create a lot of unintentional white space. Don't send your resume without it being proofread. Getting someone to read your resume can help catch mistakes that you may have read wrong. Like this sentence, for example. You can arrange for an appointment at Career Services or the Writing Center to get someone to read your resume, but you should always get someone else to read it before you send it out. Arrange your resume content based on relevance. If you're applying for a volunteer position, you might want your top section to be your volunteer experience instead of your work history. You want to tailor your resume for each posting in a number of ways. One of those ways is to change how you arrange the sections of your resume. You want to present the most relevant experience first. It isn't always going to be your employment experience. Don't include personal social information. For example, date of birth, marital status, ethnicity, or your social insurance number. In Canada, employers cannot ask you this information on your resume or application. Use a professional and easy to read font. Use fonts such as Times New Roman, Helvetica, or Garamond. There are a lot of good fonts available to you, but in a resume, it's better to use a professional looking font. You shouldn't use a font smaller than 12 point. You want your information to be easily readable, and you want to avoid making your sections too dense. Don't write incomplete sentences or use personal pronouns, and don't use abbreviations. Start your sentences with an action verb, like taught, coordinated, created, etc. Doing this will keep your statements short and on topic. Don't use personal pronouns like I or we. If you want to use an abbreviation, introduce it by writing it out and abbreviating it in parentheses. For example, University of Prince Edward Island, UPEI. Include a career or employment objective. An objective gives your resume a clear and defined direction, which will be helpful for you and the person reading your resume. Here's an example. Recent Bachelor of Education graduate with experience as a professional videographer and editor seeking to work as an instructional multimedia support at UPEI. In this example, I used my most relevant qualifications and specifically stated which position I was applying for. Don't send out the same resume to every position you're applying for. Take the time to tailor your resume to each specific job. If there's a job posting, use that as an outline to start your resume. A job posting tells you exactly what information the employer is looking for, so use it as your starting point. Send your resume digitally as a .pdf. If you're applying online, always use a .pdf unless you are specifically told to submit in another format. If you have any questions, please contact us at Recruit Services.
So students, this is very, very important. Whenever you are sharing your resume in soft copy, please convert it to PDF and then share it on email, right? Otherwise, the entire formatting will get changed once you will share it with the employer, right? So please do convert it in PDF. Now let's talk about the cover letter. So far we have understood how to prepare a resume, what are the points that we are going to keep in mind, do's and don'ts, different types of resume writing and everything. Now each resume has an important element that is called as cover letter. You must be wondering, ma'am, what is this cover letter all about? So the cover letter will introduce you as a candidate, right? It also clarifies the position for which you are applying for. With the help of a cover letter, you can, highlight what your strengths are. You can also ask an employer to take action in this cover letter. I'll be sharing some points as well. But before, I could tell you in detail about it, let's talk about the writing tips. So whenever you are preparing a cover letter, it should be, right? The cover letter should be job centered, right? A resume is a self-centered document, whereas a cover letter is a job-centered document. The cover letter should be maximum of 1 page, right? That is the maximum limit. Ideally, not more than 3 paragraphs. I'll be sharing more about what the 3 paragraph comprises of. As we have talked about, the letter format is going to be a regular business letter format that we make use of, right? We are going to follow all the do's and don'ts that we have discussed so far of professional letter writing, right? Always address the letter to a specific person. Do not write a cover letter with the heading to whom it may concern, right? Rather, you are going to write it in the manner, dear, suppose you are aware of that the HR manager is having this post. So if you know the name of the person, you can write it that way. Otherwise, you can simply write dear hiring manager. Research the name of the contact person, right? If you do not have, write the hiring manager. Always proofread and check your letter for proper grammar, right? Remember, your resume and your cover letter is like your, ticket to getting your entry confirmed for your interview, right? So how you are going to mention, okay. So as I said that there are going to be 3 paragraphs. So what are you going to write in your first paragraph? The first paragraph should include information on why you are writing this letter, right? Or the cover letter. Mention the position that you are applying for, right? And how you will follow up. For example, I would like to express my interest in a medical secretary position with Kaiser Permanent. I'm confident that Kaiser's values and objectives would highly complement my own strength and enthusiasm. I would like to be considered for this position. Right, so this is going to be the starting paragraph of your cover letter, where it is clearly stated that what is the objective behind writing this. Then comes the middle paragraph. That is the next section of your cover. It should describe what you have to offer the employer, right? Here you are going to mention specifically that how your qualifications are going to match the job that you are applying for. Remember, you are interpreting your resume. Don't repeat the information that you have already shared in your resume. Rather, you can talk about something additional or summarize your skills and abilities that are going to be relevant for the job that you are applying for. Evidence of my skills and qualifications can be seen in my responsibility. Now, this is, one of the examples of a middle paragraph. Evidence of my skills and qualifications can be seen in my responsibilities as a program assistant, where I provided customer service and scheduled counseling appointments. My educational background is this, right? And, and how this particular job role, even if that would be of an intern, how this is going to benefit you in the current job role for which you are applying. Then comes the final paragraph. So you can conclude your cover letter by thanking your employer for considering you for the position. Try to include information on how you will follow up, right? Please review the enclosed resume and consider my application for your this position. I would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you. Now, this is how you're going to end the cover letter. I would appreciate the opportunity to meet with you and discuss the positive contributions that I would offer as a member of your organization. To reach me for an interview, please contact me. This number or this email ID. Thank you for your consideration. Now, this is how you are going to write the final paragraph of your cover letter, right? So in 3 paragraphs, you have completed everything. Then you are going to give it a complimentary closure like respectfully yours, right? And then after respectfully yours, either you can have a type signature or you can have a handwritten signature, you can have a digital signature, whatever you feel comfortable with, right? Now have a look at this here. This is an example of a cover letter. So as you can see, the address, the date, the reference of the person who's the hiring manager. Dear Miss or Mr. So and so, I'm applying for this position that you have advertised through this mode, right? And my resume is enclosed, right? Now this is how you're going to initiate the cover letter. Then in the next paragraph, you are going to talk about your position requires skill in various accounting and medical software programs. Now here you are mentioning that for the job which you're applying, what kind of skills are required. And then you are going to map your abilities with the requirements. My associate in science degree option in medical office assistant emphasize the understanding and use of billing software. Right now you are talking about the internships, the work experiences that you have had in the past, and that now you are a experienced and competent professional that you can work on these things. I have 1 year of experience working in an office setting with an increasing level of responsibility. This is my experience. My experience as a program assistant gave me the ability to work well in a busy office setting and the interpersonal skills to assist the public, right? Then you're talking about my background and career goals match your job requirements well. Your company has an excellent reputation not only for its services but as an employer. I'm confident I would make a lasting contribution to your organization. Thank you for your consideration. To reach me for an interview, please contact me on this number or this email ID. I look forward to hearing from you sincerely. Right? Your signature and then your name. Now, this is an example of, see, this is not the only way in which you can write a cover letter, but this is an example of writing a cover letter. Clear? Any questions so far? Any questions? If you have any questions, please send me number 2. If you don't have any questions, send me number 1. Come on, quickly. Quickly. Any questions? Okay. Very nice. So unanimously no questions. That means whatever I'm explaining is absolutely clear to everyone. Yes, Nandini, you should write a cover letter, right? That has become a kind of an unsaid requirement in corporates now. With a cover, suppose you are sending it in soft copy, right? What are you going to write in the mail body? You will write a cover letter, isn't it? What will you write in email? That you are attaching your resume, that's it. In one line you will mention, dear sir or ma'am, I'm hereby attaching my resume for the software analyst position in your organization, thank you so much. Is that how you're going to send? No, right? So then there you are required to make use of cover letter, isn't it? And now, we are sending our resumes through soft copies only because companies are not entertaining hard copies, thanks to Corona as well. So let's talk about, again, a quick brush up of what we have discussed so far, and just the last hit on the nail, so that these concepts are settled forever in your brain. Do think of your resume as an advertisement for your qualification, right? And remember, what do we advertise? We advertise the best of our skills and abilities, isn't it? Resume is not an autobiography. Do not write each and everything. Write only those things that are relevant for the employer and for the post that for which you are applying. Do begin each bullet point with a verb, right? Do include paid and unpaid experience to demonstrate the range of what you have done. Do show the reader why you are a good match for a particular job. Right now, who's the reader of your resume? You're a prospective employer, right? Do make several resumes with each one targeting a particular field. Suppose you are exploring two fields at the same time. One, you want to work with an IT firm, and you also want to work with an educational institution. So you're exploring both the fields. So the career objective to work with an educational institution as an engineering faculty would be different, and career objective to work with an IT industry as a software programmer would definitely be a different one, right? So, and accordingly, you are going to also mention about your skill set. So do make several resumes. Do look at other resumes to see how they are written. It is very important. Just like I have shown today in the class only, I have shown you so many resumes so that you can have an understanding about what is good and what is not good in each resume, right? It is very important. Do use reverse chronology to organize your education and experience, right? We have already talked about this in detail. Do format your resume clearly. Do proofread your resume many times. If you want, you can ask others to have a look at it. Sometimes, it is there that you tend to overlook the mistakes that you have done. So you can take help of others, that they can look at your resume and they can tell you what is right and what is not right. Do remember that most employers will only look at resume for 15 to 30 seconds. So if they are not able to get what they are looking for in the first 15 to 30 seconds, they are going to throw your resume in the dustbin, right? So you have to present. And sometimes even a well written cover page will get you the desired job, or the call for the call for interview for the desired job, right? So that is entirely your responsibility to present the information, to present your skill set in such a manner that you should surely get an interview call, right? Now, very, very important part, do's and don'ts, right? So don'ts is also equally important. Do not mention so much information that your reader has to dig for the actual information, right? Don't make your reader dig for information. Don't tell everything you have ever done, right? That I have won a cooking show also, I have won a dance competition, I have visited many historical places. Now, none of the IT industry is interested in knowing whether you are a good cook, whether you have visited historical places, whether you are a good dancer or not. Rather, what they're interested in knowing is how many additional IT certifications you have done, how many programming languages you know, how are your communication skills, right? How are you in extracurricular which are related with your job? So don't tell everything you have ever done. Rather, include that information which is relevant for the industry for which you are applying or for the job role that you are going to do. Don't use complete sentences, rather talk about verbs and adjectives. Don't include personal information like age, race, marital or health status. This is not, asked for in MNCs. Still, there are some Indian organizations which ask for details like your age, your marital status, but MNCs do not need this, right? Even international organizations. I'm also working with a couple of, international projects. So they don't ask about your age, they don't ask about your marital status, right? Don't make your resume too dense, busy, or cute, right? So here, cute means comic sans kind of a format, or making it very colorful. Do not make use of any pictures kind of thing to make it look cute. Don't use a font smaller than 10 point, right? So ideally we have talked about that an ideal font size would be between 10 to 12. Don't use fancy fonts. What are the two fonts that we are going to make use of? Times New Roman or Arial, right? Now we have talked about cover letter. So a cover letter is a complement to your resume. Cover letters are a narrative, right, which showcases your personality. We have already talked about the paragraph by paragraph. I have shown you an example also, that there's an opening paragraph, then you will have your academic introduction, body of that paragraph, and conclusion and formal closing, right? I'm sorry, we are short of time, so I have to rush by these things, right? Most importantly, the things to remember: when you are preparing a cover letter, you are going to highlight your experience to showcase that you are the best candidate, and then you also have to show your interest in the organization. Why should they hire you? Until unless you are interested in the job, until unless you are interested in the organization. The style in which you are going to present your cover letter should be narrative. Try to match tone of organization and be professional. We have talked about this. Length of the cover letter should not be more than 1 page. That means ideally 3 to 5 paragraphs. Font has to be consistent, professional font and professional font size. And you are going to customize each and every cover letter to each position for which you are applying. That is very, very important, right? Now, as we have talked about how to prepare a perfect resume, let us, conclude the session on resume writing and resume building with an AV on how to write a perfect cover letter. So this will just, have a perfect ending to our session.
Writing a good cover letter is a crucial step in the job search process, yet many people don't write one or put in the time to write an effective one. So how do you write the perfect cover letter? This short video will give you the necessary steps to create an effective cover letter that lands you interviews. You often hear people ask, do I need to send a cover letter? The answer is yes. You should always send a cover letter unless the job posting says otherwise. The point of the cover letter is to give a bit of an introduction as to who you are, your interest in the position, and why you think you'd make a good fit. It also adds a human touch to the plain old boring resume. Okay, so let's get started. First thing we're going to cover is the format. And then we'll cover things you absolutely need to mention if you want your cover letter to stand out from the hundreds of other job seekers. Okay, let's take a look at how a cover letter should be formatted. As you see in our template, the header should have your name, contact number, and email. You can keep it similar to the header on your resume, but omit your mailing address. You should then include the receiver's name, title, company name, and address. If you can't find the name of the hiring manager, don't include it. You can start the letter as Dear Manager. Always try to make an effort to find out the hiring manager in charge. You should try to keep your cover letter between half a page to 2/3 of a page long. Remember that most employers spend less than a minute going through your resume and cover letter. No one wants to read an in-depth, page-long cover letter. 3 paragraphs is a good length, and we'll go through what each paragraph should contain, and then show you an example of an excellent cover letter. Paragraph 1 should be an introduction to who you are and the position you're applying for. Include where or how you found the opening, the title, and job ID if there is one. You also lead into the next paragraph by stating a brief summary of your qualifications or your interest in the position. The second paragraph should discuss your qualifications and achievements and show why you're a good fit for the position. Remember that you want to stand out from the hundreds of other candidates that are applying for the job. So don't just give a few examples of what you did in your last position. Show how you went above and beyond. Mention a few examples of quantifiable or measurable achievements in your career. Use compelling language and don't repeat the information in your resume. Try to bring your experience to life. This will encourage the reader to look into your resume in more detail. The third and last paragraph, close out by saying that you feel you're a good fit based upon your qualifications. Remember, you should include a call of action, which in this case would be inviting you to an interview. And the last thing you should do is thank them for taking the time out to consider you. Let's put this template into action. Here's an example of a great cover letter. Hi, Susan. I'm going to express my interest in the accounting position you're open on your company website. The job ID 11220. I'm a certified public accountant and confident that my experience and skill set would be a great match for this position. I have a strong knowledge of accounting principles backed by experience I've gained in the last 12 years. My previous position, I managed the accounting of a financial consulting firm with over $30 million in revenue. Not only met expectations, but exceeded them by increasing cash flow by $4 million. I helped achieve this by changing our account receivable policy and negotiating better contracts. There's more in depth on my experience and skills in my resume, which I would appreciate you looking over. I am certain that my experience and skill set would make me a great candidate for this position, as well as a great asset to your company. Please give me a call at the number above to schedule an interview at your convenience. I appreciate your consideration and look forward to hearing from you soon. Sincerely, John Smith. So there you have it. Remember these 3 points in your resume: who you are, your qualifications, and how they can benefit the employer, and a call to action asking to schedule an interview. Thanks for watching, and to read more tips, please visit the link in the description. Zip Job, we write resumes that let you more interviews.
Right? So I hope that we are clear as far as the concept of cover letter is concerned. We are also clear about the objective of writing a cover letter and also why we are writing a cover letter and how we should write cover letter, right? So this brings us to the end of the class. I hope that so far, whatever we have discussed about resume writing, about cover letter writing, we are clear with this. And now we all are in a position to prepare our own resume. Once again, I would like to suggest each one of you to prepare your own resume. Do not hire anybody to write it for you, because they are tend to make mistakes, right? So thank you so much, everyone. I hope you all enjoyed the session just like I have, right? And if you have any questions, feel free to write it to me. I'm waiting for next 1 minute for your questions. I'll take up if you have any queries, right? Those of you don't have any queries can leave the session. Thank you so much. Take care. See you all in the next class. Shraddha, I hope that the difference between resume and cover letter is clear to you now. Yes, Hemant. Cover letter can also be used as an email message. Cover letter, it's always better that if you're writing a cover letter. Thank you so much, Tanvir. Okay. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope that nobody's having a question, right? Thank you. Goodbye. Take care.